Hey, and welcome back to the channel. I am Yogi. 3 years ago almost, I started this channel. I started with a 2007 Audi A4, and I moved from there to a 2002 Porsche 911 Carrera. Well, that's what we're gonna talk about today. I've already rebuilt the engine, and if you haven't seen that video series, you should really check it out. I'm not a mechanic by trade. I work in the IT industry, but I wanted to challenge myself during the pandemic to learn how to rebuild engines. And I did just that on an Audi and then subsequently on a 911. So that's where we're at now. But what I want to do, because there's still a few more things that I need to do to restore that car, is to show you the difference between stock exhaust, mostly, and modified exhaust provided by Fabspeed. And I say provided, but I mean, I paid for it and then they gave it to me. There's no other provisionals other than that. So that's what this video is about. I'm gonna show you what it sounds like when I cold start Pepper with stock exhaust, and then we're gonna take it all the way to the Fabspeed exhaust, show you some drive-by, show you some audio, and then you can judge for yourself. And then at the end of the video, I'll provide you with my feedback on what I think, whether or not it was worth it to spend all of that money on that exhaust. So with that, Project Pepper, let's fix it. All right, so this wraps up the first part of this video where I'm testing the Fabspeed headers along with the stock catalytic converters and the stock exhaust tips. So what I want to do after this is swap out and go straight up, straight pipes with the Fabspeed setup, but I wanted to demonstrate what to expect and what you should hear when you rev this car up. So as you can see, it doesn't sound bad, but it doesn't sound as good as it could sound. So let's take this back, swap out the exhaust, and do this again. What do you think, Gabe?
Let's do it.
All right, so we're back at Yogi's garage. We had to let the exhaust cool off. Obviously, we did a lot of pulls yesterday. So it's the next day, got Pepper ready to go. And this is what we're doing. So initially, the car has Fabspeed headers on it, and it has the OEM catalytic converter. So that's what's causing that noise that you hear, or the lack of real oomph. So this right here, I picked up from Fabspeed about 6 months ago. I had it in initially when I first started the car, but I took it out so that I could pass emissions. Well, I passed emissions, and now I'm gonna put it back in the car. So with that said, we're gonna get the catalytic converters off. We're gonna take off the old muffler tips, and we're gonna put all of this in. So we have the X pipe to go, the straight pipe, which replaces the catalytic converter. You can see the O2 sensors go here and here for both sides. And I'm going with the Fabspeed twin tips on the end. So now that I have all this ready to go, I'm gonna ask Gabe to polish this up so that no one will ever see it, but it'll look really shiny and we'll all know it is. Let's get started.
All right, so Mr. Yogi has tasked me with cleaning off these bits, and I'm just gonna do these polished chrome parts, and I'm going to use aluminum polish and this polish gun. I'm just gonna put a little bit on the stuff because it splatters everywhere, as you can see. With that, let's do it. What the? Ah, there we go. Alright, so I polished it up. I would say I did pretty good for a first time. You can see the real nice light reflection. We're gonna go ahead and put these on the car, and we'll see you there.
All right, we are back. Thanks to Gabe, he's polished all the exhaust components. And yes, I know we're not gonna see most of it, but when I take it to a show and I stick a mirror underneath, it's really gonna really sparkle. So we're ready to get started on the exhaust. We're gonna start by taking off this bumper liner here. We may need to take off the heat shields, but I'm not entirely sure yet. I can't remember, to be honest. But we'll start with taking the little support brace right there off, and then we'll get the liner off lickety split. Let's do it. All right, that wasn't too bad. We got the liner off, we got the bumper brace off, and the heat shields. As you can see, that I already have the majority of the exhaust in place. There's the Fabspeed. So what I really need to do is take these tips off and take out the catalytic converters and replace them with the X pipe. So we'll do that. So there's a few bolts that I'll have to loosen, obviously on the flange here. And then I like to loosen the exhaust as well, the muffler itself, so that it makes it easier to get things off because it's loose. You want to basically loosen up as much as you can. So we gain a couple of things here. Besides horsepower, we gain a reduction in weight because these catalytic converters probably weigh 15 pounds each. So you're taking all that weight off and you're just putting straight stainless steel piping instead. Okay, so we're going to start with taking the exhaust tips off, and then we'll start loosening up the catalytic converter, and then I'll bring you back in. All right. Not too bad. With help, it only took about 20 minutes to get this thing decoupled, and now we're ready to put it all back in with the proper parts, all right? So the X pipe is gonna go right here in the middle, and then the straight pipes come right off of the headers into the straight pipes out through the muffler. All right, let's button it up. Time lapse, it took a little time. I think maybe a couple hours training Gabe as well as getting this all in place, but it looks great. All the clamps and hangers are in place. You can see the huge difference between a catalytic converter setup and straight pipes. And you're about to hear the difference too. I'm gonna start it up. Go. All right, I am testing out my new Insta360 Go 3. It's that little pill-shaped camera, and I have it clipped to my hat so I can use both my hands to do work. So I've got the exhaust to do. I want to tighten up the exhaust a little bit more just to make sure everything's snug after heat cycling the engine. You don't know whether or not those things are going to come loose. I also have dummy plugs for the straight pipes, and I'm also going to put the tips on before I put the liner back together. So let's do it. And oh yeah, look, there's my beautiful hot baked Porsche 911 Turbo. And I don't know if you guys, if this comes out in the camera, but yep, there's a PPF project coming to get that taken care of. And I'm going to do the same thing on Pepper here. All right, so let's do it. Okay, so now I need to get these pipes. These are the elbows. And I had some trouble with Fabspeed, to be perfectly honest, with dealing with them to get this issue resolved. If you recall in my previous video, and if you haven't seen it, I'll put a link up above so that you can get caught up. But basically, they were saying that the elbows that they sent me originally were the correct ones, and the problem is, in IT, we used to call a short between the monitor and the keyboard, and that's usually an indicator that it's a user error rather than a problem with their product. So I went back and forth, sent them pictures, and finally escalated it enough to finally get somebody to help me on this, and they did. They helped me get this figured out, and they sent them to me, and I sized them, and they worked pretty well. So that's where we're at right now, but now I need to get these, and that looks perfect. See, this before, it was really weird. It was really short, and it wouldn't stick out enough from the car, so it didn't look right. But this looks right, so I'm going to couple these in with the tips down there, and let's see what it looks like. All right, let's do this. All right, I'm trying it again with the Insta360 at my chest level. There. You kind of want that like that. You can get it around like that. Okay. Okay. That'll hold that in place so I can get this lined up right. Okay, so what I want to do before I button this up is run a bolt test again to make sure that nothing's come loose, and we'll get the bumper liner on. Okay, so you should be able to see now what I'm talking about. This is the heat shield's on, and you should be able to see the pipes coming out. So this is where the fine tuning comes in. I'll put the tips on, see what they look like, and then I'll fit the bumper liner just to make sure that it'll fit. So just to make sure that I got to get that wire out of there. All right, let me get going. So I had the tailpipes reversed. I had this one on this side, but you can see that it actually needs to go the other way. So basically the dummy port here needs to go on the inside rather than the outside. So that's the way it goes. So you can see that here. You need a little bit more adjustment, but we're getting really close. This looks good, real good. Now, of course, before I close all this up, I want to clean this up, right? Yes, I know no one's going to see it, but people can see the underside, especially when I take it to Cars and Coffee or car shows. So I want to make sure that it looks good when I stick a mirror underneath the car. So I'm just going to use some AP cleaner and clean this up. But instead of showing you a step-by-step on what I'm going to do with my polisher and my mother's polish, I just decided just to do my magic and show you with the magic of video editing how quickly this can get done. You ready? And there. Check that out. Looks good as new, doesn't it? Little bit of AP clean, some mother's aluminum polish, and here we are. All right, I'm gonna knock out some of the rest, like the headers and stuff. I'm gonna get those nice and shiny again, and then I'll give you a final look at the exhaust before I button it up. All right, you can see that everything has been put back in place except for the bumper liner. I'm gonna do that now. It's really easy to do. There's only a few bolts here underneath and then 2 in the wheel well. I'm just gonna dry fit it, meaning I'm just gonna put it on without bolting it in and adjust the tailpipes. I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna have access to that 11 mil, if I need to loosen it up and make an adjustment. I don't think I do. I think I have the height right. What I don't have right is the pipe, the actual tailpipes themselves, make sure that they're level. So let me get that bumper liner on and let's see what it's gonna look like. All right, here's Pepper's bumper liner. Luckily this thing's gonna get wrapped. It's beat up pretty good, but it could be worse. It could be the front. All right, let's get this going. And I got this stand here a couple of days ago from Summit. And Summit Racing took my order, shipped it the same day, and I got it the next day. I mean, that's crazy. I don't even think Amazon Prime is capable of delivering it as quick as they did. I'm not sure how they did it, but it was really impressive. All right, so first thing I want to do here is reconnect the lights. Okay, and then I just want to slide it in, making sure I don't scratch the paint. Okay, there. Ooh, they look good already. Okay, there. Let's see, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? What you doing here? Oh, there you go. There, now you're. All right. I'm gonna try this little adapter for the camera because I feel like it's not looking down enough. And it's this little angle adapter that you can stick to the back of the puck. So let me do that. And I'll get right back to you. There. How's that? Is that pointing down better? I think it is. But yeah, look at that. That looks really good. Got a few little things that I need to do. Like, I think I like that extension. That I think I like it sticking out that far. This one on this side is a little bit further out. Let me ask Yogi Mama. So I'm trying to be really careful when I tighten these up that I don't move it, but it's almost impossible to not move it. But the fitment, I gotta be honest, on these tips aren't that great. And the hardware they use is just low grade 8.8 hardware. I think stainless steel would have been a better decision here, Fabspeed. A few extra bucks to make things look good. That is awesome. All right, let's take care of the other one here. Okay, I think that's really good there.
Huh? Yeah.
All right, well, there you go. I'm standing in front of my 2005 Porsche 911 Turbo S. I keep this one inside because it's worth a whole lot more than Pepper, but as you can see over there, Yogi Mama, pan that camera over to the left, please. You can see that I have my wagon, and I've been having a hard time selling that wagon because the windows don't go down and the air conditioner doesn't work. So that's been kind of a priority for me during this heat wave, is to get this car situated so I can get it out of here and make room for Pepper, because I need to have the car wrapped, right? So I appreciate you guys sticking around. I did promise you that I would tell you what I think about the Fabspeed exhaust and whether or not it was worth it. Here's my honest to goodness opinion, and it is my opinion on this. The answer is no. I don't think the exhaust was worth it, other than getting a much better acoustic level out of that engine. The engine deserves to be heard, and that's a really good reason. But do you need headers, straight pipes, and new exhaust tips and spend around $5,500 on it? Maybe not. Your mileage may vary. I will tell you this. I did notice anecdotally an increase in performance, if you will, between stock exhaust and modified exhaust. Not much. I didn't dyno them before and after. I just don't have the funds for that. But anecdotally, like I said, acceleration is way stronger with straight pipes for obvious reason. There's no back pressure being created by the catalytic converters, and it sounds really awesome. So it's a good product, not a knock towards the manufacturer, but exhaust is kind of a personal preference in this case. I prefer it with the way it sounds, but would I tell people to go out and spend the money for that? Probably not. What I would suggest you do is just get the X pipes and the straight bits. Don't worry about the smaller mufflers. Just go with what you have, and the stock headers for that matter. You can keep the stock headers and just put a straight pipe kit in there and you'll get a really good sound out of it. But with that, I appreciate your time. Don't forget to like and subscribe my videos. I've reached 1,600 subscribers. It's not exactly where I want to be after almost 3 years, but I appreciate your support. Keep liking, keep subscribing, and we'll see you next time on Yogi's Garage.